Well, ladies and gents, do we have a treat for you? This doesn't come around all that often, but it's time again for these two teams to vie for the California Cup. Obviously, Northern California versus Southern California. The Los Angeles Valiant, San Francisco Shock, Matt, have been going at it for about a season now for control of this great and auspicious title.
Yeah, I mean, the California Cup kind of started during the off-season where they had one tournament here in LA and another one up in San Francisco. They got a nice little trophy. I believe the Shock are the owners of the California Cup right now. If the Valiant were to win, it would change hands. So it's a little bit a different take of a rivalry here.
Yeah, I think it's whoever wins the latest match, right, gets the cup. It's essentially how it works between those. Bit of a state rivalry, but even more about the San Francisco Shock. We saw them very recently in the Stage 1 finals match. They went up against, I mean, arguably the toughest competition they've faced so far, the Vancouver Titans, and it went all the distance.
This was a heartbreaking loss for San Francisco. They built all of last year to make a run like this, and they get a meta that works out in their favor here at the beginning. Everybody's playing as good as they possibly can, but they just fall a little bit short to the Titans there in the finals.
This is the team, we talked about this a lot. The story behind the San Francisco Shock is that they brought on a lot of players last season that were not eligible to play for most of that season, actually. So they played the first couple stages, first 3 stages, some with, you know, a less than full strength roster. They didn't have the season they were hoping to have. They definitely didn't reach the highest of heights. And then they made all these acquisitions in the offseason, man. They picked up all these extra players.
Yeah, I mean, you got Striker on this team. I know they picked up Violet when they already had Sleepy, who's a fantastic flex support. You had Baby Bay on the roster, but you just traded him to Atlanta.
Right, we've seen it recently.
Evic still on the roster, Smurf as well, Rascal obviously in the lineup, Architect. I mean, you have so many talented players on this roster.
And no shortage of DPS players if they would be required. They weren't required last stage so much, but now it might be a different story. But let's see exactly what separates these two teams on the ladder.
A lot.
Spoilers. 14 spots, to be exact.
You see the Valiant all the way down there in 20th place out of the 20 teams we have.
So that's the bottom.
Not ideal. Yeah, that would be the bottom.
But you're saying there's no one below them.
Yeah, putting on my analysis hat. Yep.
So that would mean that everyone is above them, right?
Yep.
Gotcha.
The Shock now sitting in 6th. I think you would definitely, you know, let's say you're doing power rankings or whatnot, you know, not going by record. I think they're much stronger than 6th place.
Right. Look, and you could almost say the same to Valiant. They had a very difficult stage 1. Their strength of schedule was tough. If you look at the wins and losses of their opponents and you do some maths and some magic stuff, you sort of realize that the Valiant had the hardest run through stage 1.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Valiant, right? We're kind of joking around all the way down at the bottom, but I mean, they have 5 matches that are very close in their stage. I mean, some of those go the opposite way. They find themselves in the middle of the pack, and we're not freaking out about them at this moment in time.
Again, there were close matches, but they lost them, and that, unfortunately, is all that matters at the end of the day. But let's talk about Stage 2. Let's talk about some of their bright spots. One of them would have to be Izayaki. This guy came on the scene sort of recently. We saw him in Stage 1. What a stunning performance from, you know, this flex support player's debut here.
We started to hear about him towards the end of Season 1. And I know the Valiant were like, hey, we got this flex support, Izayaki coming in. We think he could be one of the best ones in the league. And you don't really know until you see it happen. But, you know, he starts out Stage 1 this year, and he was phenomenal. Kind of tapered off towards the middle, but still, you know, in your top 5, top 6 flex supports, I think, without a doubt.
I mean, yeah, and we see here's the head-to-head between both flex supports. Both of them are rookies in the Overwatch League. Yeah. Both of them highly touted coming into the mix, and you can see that the numbers here, at least the comparison between the two of them, is relatively close. And the shocking part is that we're talking about San Francisco, who were number 2 or runners-up in Stage 1, and the Valiant, who were winless. So Izayaki, one thing that stands out to me about his performance is that he still managed to keep a very high numbers in general for a Zenyatta player in a lot of losing series.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about Violet on the other side, right? The other flex support you'll see in this match on the side of the San Francisco Shock. You see his phenomenal numbers. I think the Shock, they just play so aggressive. You know, Violet, Sinatra, Super, they play so aggressive.
Stay in 5th gear the whole game.
They never back up, always constantly putting the pressure on, and I think you see that reflected in his stats.
You know, while they're in 5th gear, their opponents of Valiant have to essentially start the engines all over again. Look for a reset here. You know, we've seen, you know, in the off-season, some talks of trade rumors and players,
but they haven't done anything.
Being changed. Nothing that we know of.
Yeah, nothing that we know of. I mean, they have a roster that's you know, pretty deep. You know, they have a ton of players on it, and then multiple positions, right? You know, Cookie can play you know, main support, or he can play main tank like we saw last year. It's just we haven't. You expected with the stage they had to make some major changes, because that's what they did last year. At the Valiant, they had a rough stages early on, and they make some big changes, and they come on strong late. We didn't see any of that in between stage 1 and 2.
That's right. So a bit of a rough stage 1, but a lot to prove here in stage 2. Let's welcome the hometown team, the Los Angeles Valiants. I went hung out with them in the stage break, actually. We filmed some fun content. Great to get to spend some time with the guys. And KSF leads the team onto the stage.
Yeah, you got KSF, you got Costa out there, I think there's a Bunny in the lineup. So a new look Valiant today. Not a new group of players, but some of the players they already had coming out off of the bench is going to be in the starting lineup.
I mean, we haven't seen a lot at all from these damage dealers. Bunny we saw much more of last season. KSF was a player that sort of got subbed in when Los Angeles played Shanghai last season, and I mean, they lost that particular map, and a lot of their subsequent players get a run. So KSF has definitely been behind the curtain. He's definitely been practicing. I'm sure he's been preparing. He's got a lot to show here.
Yeah, now you have Bunny coming in. Bunny, we really know is from last year, just a tracer specialist, so it'll be interesting what they have him playing here early on.
Again, Matt, their opponents are going to be staunch opposition. Their opponents will be the San Francisco Shock.
And San Francisco Shock are going to be the winners of the California Cup.
Make some noise for the current holders of the California Cup. It's the San Francisco Shock. Is that Marshall Lynch?
Oh, you got beast mode going on.
Super Bowl.
That's awesome.
Back. Oh, I love it. Obviously part of the ownership group in San Francisco Shock. This tune, by the way, Tiesto, also part of the ownership group. These guys throwing hundreds. They throwing hundreds.
This is hype. Like, if you're the Valiant on stage, you're just watching beast mode come out. He's got the trophy. This is an awesome entrance here for the Shock. They look to hold on to that California Cup.
I mean, they are dwarfed by Marshall Lynch on the stage. But again, a lot of people involved in the Shock, a lot of people very excited about the brand, and a lot of people have a reason to be excited about the team's performance, Matt. I mean, Josh even said on the desk, in the Watchpoint pre-show, he expected to see the Shock again be a strong contender for stage 2 at all because here in a match where they are highly touted to be victorious.
Yeah, I think you look at the Shock as a team and the roster that they built in the offseason, and I think this is a team that can weather the storm through pretty much any meta we see. Yeah, keep the
I'm ready to
going,
throw
man.
some shapes,
Keep it going.
How about you?
I'm ready.
How about, don't worry about the Barney music, let's keep this going through, Matt.
They kind of come through with this roster about halfway through stage 1, and they commit to it. We saw Architect at the beginning, we saw Smurf in for some controls, but really it's Super at the main thing that's been playing all the time. And then Rascal coming in and playing the Brigitte, I think, has been a difference maker that, I think it's really kind of hard to judge like Brigitte players in general. But
will he still be playing that role, man?
Yeah, you don't know. I mean, you can play so many different heroes, whether it's damage dealers, now you see him kind of move into the supports.
Now, as we know, a big forehead conceals a big brain. That was Super, of course, who was probably the standout player for the Shock.
Proved that to be false. I mean, look at that guy's head.
Yeah, I mean, look, after his accidents on the ski slopes, we realized that was mostly solid, you know what I mean? Violet, of course, I mean, Moth, who in my opinion, we make jokes, but this guy's definitely the brains behind this outfit. Yeah. Big time. Here the Los Angeles Valiant, KSF back on stage.
I want to see the Valiant's new look. They've had some time, obviously, between the stages to get on the same page, figure some things out. Yeah, Cuss in. Does he stay in? I mean, we saw them kind of put him in for control at the tail end of last stage and take him out. Now, what does Bunny play? I don't think you can get away with just like playing Tracer the whole time. Has to broaden his hero pool.
I mean, is he playing Nazaya? Is that where he goes? Because we will probably see at least a little bit of Nazaya as we head into this series. And here, of course, is your map set presented to you by Toyota. Busan, our first map. Then we head over to Anubis, Blizzard World, and Gibraltar. A lot of variation amongst these maps. We could see a bit more Blizzard World, but Busan, we have seen, especially on Mecha Base, if we get to see Mecha Base, there might be opportunities for Wrecking Ball, for Widowmaker. We know teams like Guangzhou, like Dallas Fuel like to go that way. And it will be mecha-based to begin things. Spicy.
Yeah, and it looks like you'll see Bunny playing Tracer, like I had mentioned, and then you'll have KSF playing Widowmaker. So you got Sinatra playing Sombra here. So they're gonna run an interesting Violet not playing Zen. You'll have triple support here for the Shock, with Violet playing Moira, Moth playing Lucio, and then Rascal playing the Brigitte here. And then you're going to have Sinatra playing the Sombra. So a little bit different look here from the Shock.
Bunny back on that signature Tracer. It's going to be good to see that. He played a lot of it when he had the opportunity to in the Valiant roster last season.
And then you have Custa playing Lucio, Izayaki playing Ana. I was going to say, Space playing Sombra. That's one kind of thing that we didn't see from Space in Stage 1. I think some people kind of got critical of him, where you didn't see him flex to anything else but just playing his Diva.
Both teams traded blows early, but with the loss of the Sombra early on, Super, don't sleep on this guy. Super's still able to get out. I think there was a little bit of a miscommunication in terms of waking the beast, and Super's just laughing all the way to the bank here. The Shock's still in control of the point. Fate able to deal with Sinatra here on the Wrecking Ball as he comes in, and now perhaps the Valiant will be able to exercise some control.
Yeah, the Valiant should be able to take this. I know you have the Diva D-Mech as well. So this will be the point, flipping over to the Los Angeles Valiant. Space getting closer towards that EMP. We'll see if he can get a good use of it. I know Space, like I mentioned, a player that we really only see play Diva in the Overwatch League. So see if he gets a good use of this Sombra ultimate.
It's fair for the Valiant to expect great things of this young player, but Sinatra shuts Space down before he can do too much here. Fate gonna go for the minefield, and Cole lessons from Violet. Can Bunny shut this down, or will he get taken down by the ultimate? He's forced to recall away, but he won't be allowed to escape so easily. Violet chases him down and removes him from the fight. Oh dear, the Shock just reclaimed the point, but the Valiant are still in tatters. They're still potentially gonna be staggered here as they try and keep together.
They're so split. The Valiant are so split.
Oh
right
no,
now.
Super's gonna get them all! Why do you not just pull out there? The Valiant lingered for quite some time.
Yeah, it was quite odd, and I think what you're seeing right now is Sinatra's been able to pick up Space like 2 or 3 times throughout this far. I believe like 2. But you have that DPS player of Sinatra going up against an off-tank player playing the DPS, especially for the first time. It's way different to do it as Super is still sleeping on the job.
I demand a montage of clips of Super sleeping at the end of this series. He has been hit multiple times by Iziaki's sleep dart, but it actually hasn't proved to be to his detriment yet. He always seems to escape somehow, or it doesn't really seem to have any impact on him in the grand scheme. 73%, place 29. The Shock are in a great position now, and they fortify themselves pre the fight with a rally. Primal Rage coming in from Super, but he was still able to get there. Hack was used defensively by Space. Will this make a difference? KSF is absolutely in the belly of the beast here, and Space will be chased out as well. He's forced to translocate out. Super won't be stymied though. He's able to jump back into the action, and the point is still under Shock control.
Yeah, they go in with that Primal Rage, and Space uses the EMP. A few other players pushing in, but the one that doesn't is Moth. It's actually around the corner. With that sound barrier, Space does get a touch, has to translocate out. Don't know if you're going to see another touch.
Bunny's on the right side. He has to come and challenge now as Trace on the high ground. Is KSF, Iziaki, and Custer all grouped up together. And yes, the Valiant can keep this one going, but they need to take control for themselves. Fate goes down. He attempted to use the minefield now when the Valiant have a bit more space to work with, but it doesn't matter. Everyone's just getting slapped here. Melee kills abound on the kill feed. And the Valiant are done. Shock looking very good in round 1 here. Whereas the Valiant look a little bit disjointed.
I think the Valiant just trying some different stuff, right? You have Bunny in the lineup and KSF, who we have not seen so far this season. You have Space playing Sombra here early, so I think just trying out some different comps. I think at the beginning of the stage, I think you're going to see a lot of this where the team's just trying to get their footing with the new meta. As it looks like the Shock here, potentially just rolls out with the same exact thing.
I'm cool with that. Widowmaker might be an option here, as it was on Mecha Base. KSF might be your man if that's the case. The setup here for the, I mean, for the show, it's kind of interesting, right? You have obviously the 2 tanks. The Moira is thrown in there with the Sombra and the Brigitte.
The Moira also, as opposed to Zen, where Moira obviously puts out a ton of healing, Moira is pretty good at like self-sustain as well against like a dive. Like let's say if Bunny wants to try and get back there and give Violet some trouble. Violet obviously putting damage down, gives himself more health, can throw down an orb for himself. A little bit more than just playing Zen out on your own.
1-for-1 trade so far. Violet going down. And that aggressiveness of Super continues to display itself. Rascal v Izayaki, but Rascal gets hit by a big bite of grenade and now put to sleep. Well, the shock. Again, like 3 melee kills. I'm not sure if they're trying to prove a point or something like that. But they will take the point to start with here in a bit of a scrappy breakdown of the fight.
I mean, I think I was just going to say, I think you have to switch off of this Widowmaker. Really, we're getting nothing with it. I know KSF was sitting at like 20% scoped, crit accuracy, and then with only 2 final blows.
Look how mobile this composition is, right? Sombra can get out there, Fade from Valiant, Moth is fast, Chokyobin doesn't really care too much about Widow, Subi can jump. And they're not giving KSF any space, and that's a 5-man EMP! And it'll be a crushing defeat for the Valiant in that team fight.
And I think with how teamwork-oriented triple tank, triple support is, like just switching it here on for the Valiant is not going to be like an easy, road for them to take the point. You see the shot going back, they'll switch things up, bring out their own triple tank, triple support, but these players for the Valiant did not play at all really during stage 1 together. And you speak to some teams around the league, and if you're on the bench, you don't really get a ton of scrim time.
I will say this though, I hung out with the Valiant and they've been scrimming all stage break, like the entire
Even
thing.
the players on the bench?
They didn't take a break at all. Obviously they had a little bit of time, they weren't in the playoffs, but they were taking this very seriously. Let's see the fruits of their labor. See if they're ripe yet. Perhaps not. Izayaki, oh, he's in trouble here, one more. Violet looking very comfortable there just with the AD.
So Bunny's had obviously 2 really short fights, but 2 fights as opposed to Sinatra's 1, and Sinatra's passed him up in terms of his Graviton Surge charge time.
As we know, Sinatra is decorated with many records for top damage dealing, and look, a big part of that is him staying alive, but more importantly, getting charged awfully quickly. And the Shock really happy to lean into this 3-3 now. This is their bread and butter. This is how they got to 2nd place in stage 1, man. Izayaki dead already. Sinatra must have flanked around. He must have been up on the high ground, boosting himself up with a right click, and the Valiant had to commit regardless. It's 97% on the clock, and the Shock are just really in cruise control right now. Throwing out the Graviton Surge, straight on in. Signs of resistance, minimal. Signs of life, none. Space Navi desuited. And yeah, back to spawn with him. Izayaki won't get there in time. About as one-sided as you like there in that 2nd round. I mean, Busan is the Shocks.
Yeah, once you went to triple tank, triple support, you got nothing for the Valiant. Bunny finishes with an average energy of 11 there. Didn't even get the grab. Almost 3 minutes charge time to Sinatra's 1:16. Shaka looking like, just picking up where they left off there at the end of stage 1.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Very succinct map 1 as the San Francisco Shock take the stage.
It was quick.
And take Busan almost instantly. The first round a little bit more back and forth. The Valiant tried to get some use out of KSF's Widowmaker, tried to make that work, but the Shock did not give them any room to to set up around.
At least the Valiant are trying something different. Didn't exactly work out there, but at least you're seeing them trying to get some use out of the depth on the roster, right? Putting Bunny in as Tracer, and then KSF bringing him in to play some Widowmaker. Just didn't pay off. Didn't really get enough from either of those guys. Like I feel like when you're in a specialist position, like you really need to come in and make a difference. Like when we used to see Spree come in for the Houston Outlaws, right? Spree was really like there was Zarya player. He would come in, play Zarya, play at an extremely high level. I think those guys can do it. Just against the Shock, it's going to be tough.
Again, it's a little bit easy for one specialist player just to integrate into the team in between maps, whereas two, then everything starts to change. The structure of your communication, roles, all of that. It was it did look like the Valiant didn't quite know where to be going, especially on that second round. They lost the first fight. It does often happen that you're at a huge disadvantage if that happens, but they were not able to wrest things back. I mean, the amount of times I just saw Violet able to line Izayaki up down range and finish him off 1v1.
When you have a team as coordinated as the Shock going up against a team who's just trying to figure out what they are right now, I think you're going to see results like that.
Let's have a look at a bit of a comparison between our main supports, who didn't get much talk about them over that last map, but you can see here pretty considerable difference. Now, players knocked back kind of hinges on you being alive. You see Custer is he's got that crossfade on heal, man, but Moth, he's been getting out there.
Yeah, I mean, but with how the new Lucio Boop is, right? The Boops are pretty strong right now. It's 31 players knocked back. Pretty good. The deaths, obviously, favor Moth there with one. Custa, not really much you can do when you're just kind of speeding your team in and they're just kind of dying really quickly. So not a lot you can do there if you're Custa.
That's that classic grimace we're getting used to seeing on Custa's face when, in between those rounds when he's up on the stage. They realize it's a long road from here. Being 0-7 can definitely affect their end of season chances, but Agilities now comes in where Bunny. Is that a new haircut, fam?
Yeah, it looks like it. Cleaned it up a little bit. In between stages, you gotta do that type of stuff.
Yeah. I got to chat, like I said, with the guys over the break, and Agilities looked at me, he's like, yo, we are spending a lot of time practicing, man. Like, I'm like, what are you up to, man? You been chilling? He's like, dead look in his face, like, nope.
Oh.
We've been practicing, man.
Did you see us playing in stage one? No, we ain't chilling.
Yeah, absolutely not. They realize the magnitude of what lies ahead of them, and especially the opponent that stands in their way. The Shock, without barely a scratch on them, the Valiant have to find a way, find a weakness, and exploit it.
I tell you what, though, like, I feel like getting one win for the Valiant, like, is going to be pretty tough, just because, like, you get so used to losing, and, like, it's kind of weird to say that, but, like, it just kind of becomes the norm that to, like, get that momentum in the positive direction, like, takes a while. Like, and it's not something where, like, you kind of come home and it's got to be tough for these guys because they were so strong last year, right? And then to come in with what you thought would be a stronger roster, adding like Izayaki in, moving Creed DPS, to just kind of like get hit in the face in stage one like this has to be tough, and a bounce back from that has to be harder. Cool look here from the Shock on D. No Brigitte, so they're going to actually be running triple tank, triple support with the Batiste instead of the Brigitte. So they'll be running Batiste, Zenyatta, and Lucio in terms of supports with the Reinhardt.
Interesting. Again, a bit more burst healing available in a pinch than Brigitte has, I guess. If you're just going to use that biotic launcher to throw grenades down. Weren't we saying before that we should give Batiste 2 grenade launches?
Yes, I said that in the back. I don't actually believe it.
I think it would be cool.
No.
Oh, all right. I will die on that hill. KSF now sets
up. Give Roadhog a grenade.
Oh my gosh, no.
Okay, don't do that.
Okay, the Shock set up on the high ground. So they give a lot of ground, at least over to the Valiant here. They're going to let them push in, but they're really trying to collapse on them. That's what they want to do. They're playing over two high ground positions here.
The Shock need to play this. So you don't want to give sight lines to KSF playing Widowmaker all the way at the gate, right? They get an easy pick on like a support.
And they have the Rascal, so like Batiste's able to deliver you some of that hit scan based damage. Comes in 3-shot bursts, and it's not always as easy to really make the mark with. Okay, Super's knocked down. This could be an issue. Rascal now needs to be very careful. He can still get picked off with a headshot from KSF, so he needs to hide around the corner. Or duel the Widow, that's also fine, I guess. Depends how you're feeling on any given day.
And he has the amplification matrix here. You can use it to, get one of these big volleys out of Violet.
Or maybe you're just really trying to set up for extra healing as well. Oh, no, just get rid of Fate, okay.
Oh, the
Super
fire strike for the
gets an amped fire strike. That's gross. That is what, 200 damage fire strike?
Yeah, I saw.
So it would be instant death fire strike?
Yeah, I saw a clip from Poco where he had like somebody on the other team, like a 4-player fire strike do that. But you see the Valiant still here. They have pretty mobile comps, so they're able to get back to the point. Test him rather quickly. Rascal gets really low. Need to keep him alive.
I mean, EMP is impending. Space is again on the Sombra. He's going to go for it. They've lost agility here, but they want to commit one way or another.
The trans comes
Custer
out perfect timing.
is able to resurrect here. He does. He gets agility's back, but you're right. The trans staved off that EMP map. And Super just walked into a minefield without a care in the world. Sinatra will get some energy off of him as he does blunder through a couple of those explosives. And the Valiant don't have much of a presence on the ground, man. Okay, that's a grab from Sinatra, placed very far forward.
Why not?
Again, if he can give the rest of his team some ult charge from that, he's not complaining. But it's interesting, right? After Space sort of EMPs and there's a Transcendence for the Shock, the Valiant didn't have much more. I guess they were just hoping KSF would find picks for them, but the Shock were hiding.
And I think when you're on the side of the Valiant, you have this nano boost to use, right? You don't have the EMP right now. You don't have anything else. Like maybe use the nano and you consider switching off of it. But with the lineup they have in the game, this is kind of what you think that they'd be running.
Do you nano agilities while he goes for barrage just for that extra durability?
It doesn't feel great to do, but
Here's another ramp matrix.
are they going to nano on the Fate?
Rascal a little bit low, trying to hide back behind that one. Also, Immortality Field dropped in the corner there. Should it be required? Oh, Custer. Rascal wanted to go for the 1v1 there. Well, it wasn't quite a 1v1, but trying to keep Joe alive. But Joe gets desuited, goes for the self-destruct here. Exo boots from Rascal to try and get some hype, but he is taking some interesting fights. But if he can bait a commitment into that corner, oh, nice use of the field there. The Immortality kept him up, but KSF finally finds a pick. Rascal gets headshot and removed, and his Immortality field is now gone. A barrage from agilities, but most of it's eaten up by the defense matrix. Sinatra is able to get rid of agilities. Fate's low, and now Super's going to lay down that Earth Shatter. Shouldn't be required, but it may not be. Custer would like to try and get rid of Sinatra, who's won. Custer's looking for the kill, but he will be denied it. Frustrated, he has to resort to resing Fate.
Only 3 tanks here, though, for the San Francisco Shock. You're going to get the supports back in the mix. Rascal comes as Brigitte tried to get a heal on the Super right away. Gets taken out, though, as finally the Valiant that break in this.
Nice job by KSF there. 3 headshots to finish the fight. I'd be pleased to end it in that fashion. It was what the Valiant were trying to do. Force the Shock into the open. Now we get a view from the man himself here. Definitely aggressive positioning for a Widow, but he knew the fight was almost at its climax. He just had to find those last 3. Very nice. All right, Sinatra, another early grab from him. I kind of like this. I think the Shock learned this, to be honest, against the Vancouver Titans. We really started seeing them do that a lot.
He builds them so quick. It doesn't, I mean, if you can get an easy fight win off of it, build up some ult charge and some other players, you may as well use it. Especially in the Noah scenario where players aren't spread out and whatnot, they'll be able to win. Valiant switch everything pretty much here. I see Fate now will go over and play Reinhardt. KSF gonna play Zarya. So you do have the 2 tanks, 3 supports. No Zenyatta, you're gonna have Diana. Okay. And you have Space who's still playing around this EMP. Then you think he probably switches.
Fate will get much more durability and more opportunity to charge up those Earth Shatters if he's given Nano Boost. Izyaki's Bardic Grenade is something to look out for in the next fight when Violet will try to go for a Transcendence. They'll really have to force Violet to use it. They don't have a Graviton Surge just to make him go for that. We'll see that now in the EMP. Yeah, there's the Transcendence. So at this stage, Izyaki definitely looking to try and punish some of this healing. Super did get bioed very low. He's able to hide behind the wall though, but charged. Fate comes out of absolutely nowhere looking for the pin. Rascal is extremely low, but Fate now seems to be out at sea.
Yeah, and I wonder if Space actually thought he was going to hit Izayaki with that EMP, because he knows that Izyaki's playing up on that high ground, on Violet is playing up on the high ground. And he jumps up and he uses the EMP, but it doesn't actually connect with Violet on top of that little platform, and Violet's able to get that Transcendence off.
Moth played the high ground early. Again, if he can sort of knock someone off the high ground with the Valiant so bold, or ideally Moth would probably follow the Valiant, and if anyone, as they cross the bridge, he can knock someone into the moat below and force a rotation out of them. Oh, that's so close! Huge fire strike from Super. He already had the shatter.
But this allows him to not really use any of those big game-changing ults and win a fight. You can't just kind of storm in there. So, oh, here we go. Oh, I'm surprised they said kill space.
That's one way to send a message.
Yeah, I mean, Violet already up to another Transcendence. You did use Rally during that in self-destruct, but coming back into it, I would not be surprised to see Sinatra with another early, Graviton Surge, right? You start building some of the other ultimates that you have, and you can just keep cycling them.
Violet has to be happy that he's almost got another he has his Transcendence back, just as KSF returns with the Graviton Surge. Keeping that ultimate in step with the enemy's eye, and now it's going to be a running from agilities. Here comes the push. Rascal forced the shield bash out of the way, and that's the Graviton Surge. Used early, used often is the philosophy from Sinatra, but he goes down early in this fight. Fate able to pin Super up against the sarcophagus, and now everyone from the Shock is bundled off the point unceremoniously. Valiant can set up here in the Shock. Well, yes, they could go for a stall. They have to rely on the sound barrier from Moth. Uses that now to give them the durability as they push on. They manage to contest. Moth is there. Super looking for an Earth Shatter opportunity, waiting for Fate to make one mistake. Drop his shield for one moment, he's going for it. No, doesn't quite work out here. Custer now going for the sound barrel with a Transcendence here from Izayaki. Everything's coming up pretty well for the Valiant. Rascal is down, but Moth is still contesting for the time being.
So you do have Sinatra still here on the point, and Moth is Jayobin just gonna have to come out, contest this here. Is not able to make it back out. But I do want to say, when the Graviton Surge comes out from Sinatra, the way that the Valiant are able to get through, it's a huge Earth Shatter that comes out from Fate, and then they push on through using their own Graviton Surge there. Really nice play from the Valiant to complete the map with 19 seconds to go.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Not too shabby at all from the hometown team. Here on the attacking side, the Temple of Anubis, they able to get it done pretty well on defense here. The Shock, only 19 seconds left for the Los Angeles Valiant. So not a huge time bank map, but yeah, they still are able to guarantee themselves another run through of the map should San Francisco finish their attack.
Yeah, no, we'll see what the Shock decide to do on their attack. This is the replay from Fate's POV. So they get stuck up on the grab here on the pole, and you see it's the big Earth Shatter that lines it up. There's the Graviton Surge that comes down. That's exactly what I was talking about towards the end there. That really was the combination of ultimates that spiraled it in the Valiant's favor.
Yeah, it may have been hard to notice the Earth Shatter because when everyone gets grabbed, they sort of get pulled off out of that sort of laying down position.
It's also kind of risky because with the way the grab like interacts with the pole and the pillar, like I'm sure some of you guys that play at home, you know, like sometimes you get like jolted back and like you're kind of moving around a little bit. It's hard to know where you're going to end up exactly.
So there you go. That Earth Shatter may have been hidden among all the other effects.
So
this is aggressive.
Yeah, Reinhardt into all of these damage dealers. Usually, like we talked about last stage, when you see all the damage dealers come in, you see Winston 3-3. If anything, then they ought to go with a Batiste option of the Reinhardt composition.
Such aggressive position from KSF, and even Agility's hovering awfully close to the Shock.
Oh, it's not good for the Valiant.
Izayaki gets picked off. Looks like Moth just went coast to coast to try and find him. Well, space going down here as well. Izayaki being brought back into the fight, but when you're resurrecting Inanna, you know that you're probably not going to be able to get a whole lot done with that. Rascal, cheeky little one tap
Now, obviously, really early on, I feel like this is the best use of Batiste we've seen thus far. As Rascal, has made an impact, being able to be a hit scan to take Pharah and take the battles with the Widowmaker at range, but also to amp up the amount of damage. I mean, the damage amplified is about 500 right now for Rascal, and now you're going to see the amp field go down and see if you can do anything with it. A nice immortality field there to keep Violet alive.
Now that is down, Izayaki managed to get rid of it. Rascal now maybe wanting to take a little bit of a step back. It's a Transcendence in the fight for Violet here. Fate is still looking to really punish those backliners right now. You can see Sinatra being buffeted around. Sinatra is approaching his Graviton Surge, his first one for this half. But the Shock have prime and pole position on the point right now, and Super has a shatter. You know what that means. It's going to get messy. Sinatra now lets the grab go again. He lets it go down range. He knows that space wasn't there to deal with it. And even an immortality field just to help things out. The Shock have breezed through this one very quickly. Space gets desuited, is forced into a self-destruct, but Super has the barrier, he lets it go, then the Shadow, which doesn't quite connect, and Space is still able to resuit. It don't matter though. The Shock absolutely crush it on that attacking side. We expect no less from a team of this caliber. The Valiant, again, were put on the back foot off the beginning. Struggle to climb back in, but now we'll go back into it all again. 1 minute left for the Valiant. Shock with 6 minutes 44. The Valiant are no stranger to daunting tasks and being behind at the half. And, well, they might be looking down at that one again. They have a minute left and they have to attack first. The Shock have amassed a gargantuan time bank to rely on.
So that is the fastest Anubis we've seen so far this year. This year, right. This season for the San Francisco Shock in general. So really good there. As the Valiant, they'll opt to just go back and run a traditional triple tank, triple support. Rascal still playing the Batiste, who's made a real big difference. I mean, 41% of the team's healing right now is Rascal, healing at a clip of 14K every 10 minutes right now, like a little bit at 12,000 about.
So that's more healing than anyone on his team is doing damage per 10.
I mean, getting the amplification matrix every 55 seconds. So, I mean, I'm putting up pretty impressive numbers here on Batiste.
Super, oh, he's been caught in a bit of a nasty duel. Oh, no, that one's just been destroyed. In fact, it just gave enough of a window. Rascal, nice job. That Immortality Field gave just enough time to heal Super back up.
I mean, he saved Violet with it as well.
Very clutch use of that ability. He only needs it to be around for a second or so. Once it's destroyed, it's already done its job. I really love that application of that ability.
Because he does so much healing in general.
Rascal, another Immortality Field thrown in and out. The Shock, though, they can get a little bit aggressive. Super with the Shatter. He lays it down. Izayaki forced to do a Transcendence, but they've already lost Fate in their main tank. And they've lost their best opportunity at capturing point A. Super now can just prance back to point. And that is already it. The Valiant only had a minute, and it wasn't enough.
Oh, there was so much damage, though, that just went down through.
Moth was cringy.
Oh, yeah.
Actually cringy.
Well, no, I get why, because when Super shatters them, you have the amplification matrix that comes out from Rascal, and before his use of that one, he's at about 550 damage amplified. It jumps up to 924 after that use. A lot of damage went through there onto the Valiant.
You see, Twitch, that is actually cringe. That, when he cringed, that was cringe. Everything else you say is cringe is actually not cringe because you're 12. That was cringe.
Wow, that was an aggressive outburst out of nowhere.
Well, it's like, no, it's the same thing with the C9 thing. Sometimes you just got to lay it down and let them know. 6 minutes and 44 on the clock.
I mean, you can let them know in a nice manner. I mean, that was quite rude. I think they deserve an apology.
No, I think they're okay.
Okay. I won't apologize on his behalf. That wasn't me that did anything.
Sinatra Tracer, that would be fun. We see the hover here. The Shock know they have a lot of time. I feel it. Agility's
just having musical chairs here for the Shock.
Look, so last time the Valiant defended here. They played KSF very far forward, not expecting or assuming there wouldn't be a Winston. They were correct. The Shock almost always prefer to run super on the Reinhardt. But Rascal has exo boots. He can jump. He can get to that high ground. He'll 1v1 you.
So, we'll see how they decide to play this. The last time they used the Immortality field to actually get through towards the left-hand side, it was a really early use. Keep some players up as they moved on in. 3 players actually get caught here for the Shock. So you have Rascal, Violet, and Choyobin who are actually stuck to the left.
Or will they just pick
They
some
may
of the
just
rest
want
of
to play a little bit further away.
I mean, it's Choyobin and Rascal who can both jump to the high ground on agilities has already gone down. I mean, I know Custer would like to try and resurrect that, but there is no way the Shock are going to let him get away with that. No way!
Yeah, I mean, that happened. You were making fun of the chat for
Yes,
C9,
that
and then we just saw the Valiant.
That is an actual C9 as well. So
You got what you deserved.
All right, guys, you got actual cringe and actual C9 in one map. This is the first and last time this is ever going to happen. All right, well, we'll be back after halftime. Much to talk about, I'm sure.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. High ground or low ground, T-Mobile has you covered. And by State Farm. Whatever life brings your way, State Farm is here to help life go right.
The San Francisco Shock are trying to keep a tight grip on that California Cup. They're putting in work so far in this one, up 2-0 over the Valiant at the break. Welcome back, everyone. Malik here with Bryn and Sideshow. Guys, I would say that Sinatra is not about that kiddie pool life because he's definitely showing off how deep his hero pool is. We got to see this man pop off on Sombra on Busan.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Pretty great little segue there, talking about Sinatra's hero pool.
I love it.
He is a player that has a lot of potential, and I think he's starting to have that realized. In Season 1, we knew that he was a player that they were very much focused on developing, but I'm going to be honest, we didn't see too much development from him.
Yeah.
The general public opinion, actually, was that maybe he was even a little bit overrated towards the end of the 2018 season. But now that he's got...
fair, though.
No, well, no, I don't think that was fair
Not at all.
then, and it certainly isn't now.
I also don't think it's fair to say that he hasn't had too much improvement. I mean, just to point out a couple of the key statistics here as well. I mean, 1 death on Busan. Yeah, that's not bad.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
Not
But
at all.
I think Sinatra is a player who has improved, but just in ways that people don't really see much. And
Oh, no, I
actually
think he's
just
improved massively.
not
yeah.
feeding as much. Because he used
Absolutely,
to just feed his little brain out, you know?
Yeah, he was a very aggressive player. And I think that's credit to the coaching staff at the San Francisco Shock, and also just working with such a young player. They just have so much room to develop as well. And now he's really coming into
Really
his own.
good.
And, yeah, working
bloke.
very well with Super as well.
Yeah.
Look like they're all getting very comfortable. Even like you said, Rascal. It was really cool actually seeing Rascal play some Batiste in this matchup. What did you guys think of that? Was it efficient Batiste gameplay?
I like it. Honestly, I like it on Anubis. There's a lot of high ground. You can use his little, I don't know what his boots are called, mega boots, mega jump boots.
Yeah, mega jump boots.
Mega
That's
jump
the
boots, that
official
sounds
name in the
about
game.
right, yeah. It's okay, I don't get paid to analyze or anything. But yeah, I think it works really well on Anubis because, again, you can see right there, you can get up onto the high ground nice and easily.
Yeah.
It works very well in terms of this composition they're running. They're very familiar with how to run their triple tank, triple supports. Seems to slot in very nicely, specifically on this section of Anubis.
Yes, the Brigitte doesn't really get that much value when you're playing this area of Anubis because you're either holding on the high ground and then you're not within range, or you have to drop down to the low ground and you're not that useful.
What's that number?
That is another 1 death. There you go.
Oh,
Death's
wow.
prevented as
That's
well
pretty good.
with his immortality field. He got a really clutch immortality field at some point as well.
Yeah.
So I like this strat. It's a cool one from the San Francisco Shock. We're wondering, you know, how is Batiste going to be involved in a lot of these comps? This seems like a good. It is map specific though. If you're expecting to see this become the dominant comp, I don't think it'll work on every map.
Right.
But on this, where you've got a lot of high ground that you can play on, and the Brig isn't that useful. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I will say, though, I love seeing Batiste out there. I love seeing the tactical crouch he does. It's like a true tactical crouch. Power up that power.
It really is.
Well, guys, now the Shock are coming off one of the most epic stage finals in history of the Overwatch League. Now, while they came up just short against the Vancouver Titans, they still proved to belong in the top tier of the league. We've got an inside look at what those finals sounded like for both teams in our latest edition of Inside the Comms.
There is a special spot in the book of esports history for champions here in the Overwatch League.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
The Vancouver Titans.
Look at these ugly, sloppy players.
마이크 체크하자. 본 사람한테 미안하지만 4대0 4대0 갑시다.
They're definitely scared of us.
Yeah,
I
100%.
know they are.
마지막 기회입니다, 여러분.
Play our game and pummel these kids.
Yeah, let's go. Yo, 3, 2, 1, okay! Let's go, boys.
밴쿠버 하나, 둘, 셋. 밴쿠버!
Make some noise as we're heading to our stage 1 final.
우리가 훨씬 잘해. 침착하게, 침착하게.
That's fine.
We suck at that map, it's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Now we win.
Yeah.
carry.
Nice!
It's our worst map and we won. Let's
They're
go.
so bad.
퍼커시 부조화 내가 부르는 거. 오케이.
Now, the kings of the jungle have to assert themselves.
루시오.
아, 이건 진짜 아깝다. 이건 어쩔 수 없어.
Guys, we're so much better. Let's go.
Is this where it ends? Is this where the Shock hold off the Titans?
야, 가자, 앞으로 갈게. 나 앞으로 갈게. 민수야, 프리드래. 잘해. 할수 있어. 나이스.
표정 봤지?
야, 칭찬하기엔 입이 아깝고 끝나고 칭찬해줄게.
오케이.
일단은 가자. 17연승.
It all ends here on Rialto.
Nice, guys.
딱 1분이야. 서울이랑 똑같아.
Remember the Titans though, they are still in a great spot to take this all the way here.
라인 보는 중. 자리야. 핸드필. 나이스!
아니, 방심하지 말고. 얘네 표정 굳었어. 확실히 막을 수 있어.
That was a haymaker of a round.
The Shock, they only have 1 minute. 1 minute on this map.
We can still win, really.
Yeah, really.
Really, I believe. Don't be scared, guys.
This is just a first point hold. That's all this is. It's just a full hold.
Now we know what the Titans need to do. It's simple. And the Vancouver Titans take what was promised to them. Your stage 1 champions.
GG.
Swagers.
Oh,
I'm about to start crying, bro.
Good job, everyone.
I'm really proud of you guys.
Good job.
That's so sick.
I like that both teams pointed out that they are so much better than the other team. That's probably my favorite part of the whole
I
thing.
loved how harsh Super was at the beginning. He sees the walkout, calls them ugly, sloppy players. That's so brutal, man.
I think for me it was the ending though as well. Sinatra as well, saying how proud he was of his team, despite them losing.
Sinatra's quite a nice positive
He really
presence
is,
within
yeah.
the team.
Like, his persona when he's like streaming, you think of him as quite a toxic young lad.
Yeah.
He's not. He's a wholesome boy, and you love him for it. Really, don't you?
It was so much fun. That was fun to watch. All right, well, let's get back to the match, guys. San Francisco Shock still dominating, up 2-0. Anything the Valiant can do right now to get into this game? All right.
Yeah, I mean, They're a roster that's still in the middle of rebuilding. I think that's the point. I mean, we casted them while they were doing this California Cup showdown before. We saw the Valiant come out swinging the first time, and then Shock replied. And at the moment, it's a rough position for the Valiant to be in. But in the future, they can definitely hoist this trophy back. But it's going to be tough to come back now.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, what more would you like me to add on to this?
I don't know.
You've been very polite about
Tell
it.
me that Custer's going to be cloned and we're just going to have 6 Custers up on the stage.
I'm looking forward to the next episode of Custer's News Network. I'll tell you that for free. Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Well, we said it yesterday, when you're at the bottom, there's only one direction you can move in. And we're going to see if the Valiant can find some semblance of life coming up in the second half. Stay tuned.
They don't just play for a team. They play for every fan, every rival, every moment, every match. And when everyone watching expects the best, they perform with the best.
Grim tidings from the City of Angels, especially if you're an LA fan. 2-0 down in this series for the Valiant. The Shock are looking dominant as ever, dominant as we expected. And perhaps we didn't expect the greatest performances from the Valiant, but this has been pretty quiet from them.
Look, I mean, the Valiant have had a ton of time to practice. You decided on some of the lineup changes you want to make coming into this stage. We just haven't seen it work out this far. And I think when you go up against a team that's a well-oiled machine like the Shock, you're going to see results like this, at least early on.
And again, the Shock have that extra stage experience of having played in the playoffs. They had a lot of time in between that as well to prepare themselves to go up against the Titans. So, a bit of A, bit of B. It also happens as well if you fall on like tougher times in the league, or you're not getting wins, or maybe your scrims aren't turning out the way you like them to. You don't always have the chance to scrim everyone. Some teams might say, look, no offense, you guys are struggling right now. We'd rather sort of keep getting out ahead instead of teaching.
I mean, when I coach teams, in Call of Duty like that, we wouldn't play teams that we felt like could really give us a run. And I imagine, for some of those other teams, it was pretty difficult to get like consistent games.
It's very minor thing. No leaks. Not like we know anything. I'm quite sure the Valiant have plenty of Overwatch teams to play against. But Blizzard World will be our next map. I haven't seen this one in a while. Well, we saw it just before, but in a while. We see a lot of Sombra on this map. So maybe we'll see a bit more of that showcase from space. Choi Hoban obviously gripping that mouse as he was. Just trying to limber up a little bit before he jumps back in the pilot seat of the Valiant.
The Valiant need a map win in like just the same fashion we just saw the Shock win like Anubis. Like something that like everybody's so tense up there. Like you can just kind of like you look up and you see the guys, you just feel the vibe. Like isn't great. Like they just need a ridiculous win that everybody can just kind of laugh and rally behind. Like these games, especially because like it sucks to lose these games when like they're so close. Like you'd rather just get blown out. But like some of the series that they've had that have gone the distance and you still lose, it makes the next series like 10 times harder.
NYXL, Hangzhou Spark, those were two series the Valiant went to 5 maps and lost. It takes the wind out of you. But they'll be on the attack to start with, so no time to ponder on previous defeats. I like this very much. They got the Hanzo and the Farah.
So they're going to run triple DPS again. So they'll run Izzyaki on the Ana, and then you have Custa playing Mercy, so it'll be the solo thing. The Batiste version of the Reinhardt triple tank, triple support.
Seems to be the go-to for the Shock right now.
Well, look, it provides them a little bit of a hit scan here against agilities, and it allows him to provide a ton of healing.
Well, now with like Brigitte not being able to shield bashes easily, they want to go for a third support that gives plenty of healing.
And there's not a ton of flankers here to I mean, you could get the shield bash onto the Sombra obviously, but to have it just for the Sombra, I think Batiste, just the utility that he provides in other areas just outweighs that.
The Shocking looking pretty comfortable right now. It looks like Fate is trying to roll around and find someone to unseat, but the Shock seem pretty unbothered by the presence of the Wrecking Ball in general.
Are you surprised that we've seen so many damage dealing comps come out from the Valiant, considering I think when you look at their roster, the one thing you would have said is that their damage dealers are not their strongest portion of it?
Yeah, but I mean, we also saw them obviously play in a 3-3 dominated meta, and they didn't seem to be all that comfortable there either. Oh, Rascal!
Nice shot.
Head plucked like an apple. And KSF now Dragon Strike. This will force the Shock to play the left side, and it'll hopefully allow the Valiant to line up a couple more kills if they're trying to take this point. KSF's managed to get back behind it, but the Valiant, again, where is their anchor point? What are they playing around? Because Fate is playing a bit like a flanker on this Wrecking Ball. Where is their pivot point?
So that'll be the EMP that comes out from Super, and the nano boost here being used as well as...
Oh! He was nano boosted!
Rascal comes back, not playing Batiste, will play the Brigitte now, but I just found it interesting that I think when you look at the Valiant, I think like you could do something. Like I really love the tank duo as Fate and Space, and I think Izyaki's been great. I just don't know if their strength is to play triple DPS.
I don't think they really know what to... Like, we've seen the Valiant get the first kill, but their transition into capturing the point or getting that second kill seemed really shaky.
I will say when you did a KSF using his Dragon Strike before, it was a really nice hack by Space on a Treovan. Treovan was actually flying in to eat it, but he got hacked by Space, wasn't able to do so. So you have to burn the res here on a KSF, get him up.
The Shock can't engage on a 5-man Valiant with Fate behind them on the Wrecking Ball trying to capture the KSF and Izzyaki both getting caught in the grab there. Izzyaki on down. Space trying to pull people back to the point is the Sombra, but he's being ignored essentially. 1 minute remains for the Los Angeles Valiant to find something, an opening.
And I think if you're the Valiant, you have to have some variation of this composition and be able to play it at a high level. You see the Shock getting close to having 5 ultimates, the Graviton Surge just used there from Sinatra. What are you going to get here from the Valiant that is going to unlock the point?
I mean, we might see Fate trying to use Minefield to keep the Shock on that side of the point. He did that and tried to zone the Shock out.
They'll eat it all up here. Yeah,
Transcendence being used. Sinatra will get easy charge by giving Super or someone similar a bubble as he walks through the Minefield. What next? Dragon Strike again. Another ultimate used to force positioning, but it doesn't really scare the Shock. Super does finally go down after using that Earth Shatter. Tukova's a little bit low. But the sound barrier here, Fate needs to be very careful. Rascal switching over towards the Brig means that it's harder for Fate just to roll in and out of these fights. Agilities again, despite being nano boosted, got taken very low. Is able to back away, and you saw the orbs flying from Violet. He's looking to take Agilities down himself.
You're going to use 2 nano boosts here, both of them onto Agilities. As Super comes back on Wrecking Ball, that'll be a big EMP from Space.
Yeah, KSF and Agilities now following up on that one nicely. A second for Agilities in this fight, and over the point now. A jubilant roar from the Farah player. As Tukovan finally is desuited and Super will try and stall for just a little longer. The Valiant finally found their opening on this point, and they'll get to continue to play some Overwatch.
Do they stay with the same composition? It looks like at least here, just going up, trying to poke down for some damage. It looks like they will. Super changes off of Wrecking Ball is going to go play Winston now. A little bit of a trade here. It's going to be a grab that comes through from 2 for 1. Sinatra, yeah. They're going to just push them back.
Very unceremonious end for those two. Again, like, Sinatra's that guy.
Like he's going to change. Yeah. Maybe a Sombra play here, yep.
Yep. We see a lot of Sombra on this map. It's very easy for Sombra to get behind the opponents. With so much high ground, so many ways to, you know, wheedle in through the back.
Also the fact that Sombra's invisible.
Yeah, that's pretty nice, isn't it? Yeah. It's impossible to spy check adequately, like just to spam.
Yeah.
Sinatra can just walk around, so he'll get pretty much free hacks as long as he needs them.
This is where you start to get into the rock, paper, scissors type of game, right? Where they see the Shock make these changes, now the Valiant makes changes, and they'll be running the Winston version of the triple tank, triple support. Now maybe that's what they're trying to do with their DPS combos at the beginning, is to force some changes out of the Shock so they can come back to a composition like this with an ult advantage.
I mean,
it hasn't worked really.
If you're the Shock, sure. You probably want the Valiant to try and play 3-3 against you. That was where the Shock looked very good last stage. And it wasn't that long ago. Izayaki down early. Sinatra found him in the back line immediately. Super says, let's go. Sinatra, however, had other ideas. He pulls out, but again, Super wasn't interested in getting kills. If he forced the Valiant back, that would be enough for him. Gets a repair pack. And now he's back to full health again.
So you're going to have an EMP. Oh, you're going to have all 6 ultimates here for the Shock. So this is a fight where the Valiant, they kind of know they're walking into a lost fight. Try and get as many ultimates out as possible.
I mean, Sinatra got caught there, plain and simple. The fact that he gets the EMP and then get out alive is ridiculous. And up, see you, Custer. Swim between the flags, bro.
I mean, for the Valiant, though, you did get the Shock to invest 3 ultimates into this fight. Agility's up. There you go. Off the side. You did get the Shock to invest half of their ultimates there. Primal Rage, EMP, and a Rally. So you do have an ultimate advantage coming into this next fight. Problem is you only got 15 seconds to make something happen with.
It's often been the Valiant's problem. It's just taking them too long to come up with an answer. Well, let's hope Transcendence, Graviton, also a Self-Destruct are an answer for them here. They're going to push forward. Very far forward, in fact. You see Fate with a Primal Rage again. Hoping to at least give his team a bit of freedom to push up. Fate just needs to not die here, which probably should be fine.
And I don't think the Shock mind giving this space right now. I think they feel pretty confident where the payload is, so they can match it.
No grab for the Shock, remember that. Sinatra's actually playing the Sombra and not the Zarya. It's one less fight, potentially fight-winning ultimate, but they trade it in for the EMP, which is fantastic even on its own. Sinatra is just a long way away from it. I think the Shock are trying to give him time to get there, but they have 2 support ultimates, which is also important. So go for the high ground. That was Violet now going for the Transcendence here. KSF still waiting. He's managed to get the Transcendence out. Now Izayaki goes for his. There might be time to seal the deal for the Valiant. They know they've got a long way to travel. They don't want to spend all their ultimates at once here. Take it slow on both sides. Oh, KSF! Oh, his Graviton got eaten! The win condition for the Los Angeles Valiant is now gone, and they got to resort to the sound barrier, but the sound barrier gets ripped off them! Sinatra drops in with an EMP, and it's lights out! In both senses of the term. And that looks pretty darn good now for the Shock to take map number 3 as well. Cool, calm, collected, and confident. And the Valiant need to find a way to stop them now. They're going to break upon them like a wave. We'll see you after these messages.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Well, it looks like California Cup, the very embodiment of the rivalry between North and South here, probably staying in the Bay Area for the time being. The Shock are pretty close to closing out this series, at least in terms of maps. There will be a fourth map still to be played. However, a 3-0 is looking more and more likely.
Yeah, you know, it's been a tough series for the Valiant thus far. You know, KSF, his Graviton Surge getting eaten there at the end.
I mean, they had to reset in the break. They really had to start again, start fresh in some sense with this roster. Citro Hoban, this was the backbreaker. Just before he was stunned. Just before he was stunned, he eats up that Grav.
So it's tough, man. Like we were talking about before, like the Valiant, like the vibes aren't great on stage, right? There's so many Valiant fans in the arena, right? Like tons of green jerseys out. It's like they're excited, but it's kind of it's hard. Like you give the team all that energy, like and then you have some things just go sideways like that. It's difficult. The Valiant will play something interesting on defense, so they'll play the triple tank, triple support, but now you have the Wrecking Ball in instead of like whether it's Winston or Reinhardt. So a little bit of a different look here against the Shock.
Shock will just go with what they like. Rascal says, no, I'm not playing Brig. Let me play Batiste. Let me baptize them with them holy water grenades and heal and, you know. Let me use the noob tube. Sinatra on the point. Oh, he gets stunned from behind there. Still able to shield himself up. Was probably more worried about Super at that stage, but interesting position. Looked a little bit disjointed there. I think the Shock made a last-minute decision to move into this room, which is named Snacks Ramos, by the way, which is great. Yeah. So good. But yeah, they'll have to regroup a little bit and wait for the Sombra to come back at least.
Oh, there's going to be the Amp Matrix here that comes out from Rascal, so see if they can get any of the damage through here.
Oh, it could be nasty now. Sinatra finds Custer. Yeah, the Amp Matrix was placed a little bit too far forward by the looks of things. The Valiant was standing in between them and the Matrix, so it doesn't do much there. Charge from Super. Full range. Straight into KSF, who has to hide behind the stand, get himself a corn dog and wait for his demise. And yeah, 2 minutes 40 on the clock as the Shock just start to capture the point. Izayaki was staggered. Violet and him exchanging meaningful glances before he was sent back to spawn, and 5 minutes are on the clock. 5.
Now we'll see if after, we make a change here for the Valiant as Fate plays Reinhardt now. I think maybe after Sinatra uses his CMP, we see him play Zarya. You get into that mirror matchup, so to speak, with 3 tanks and 3 supports on both sides. Could be a big EMP.
Everyone's grouped up here. Yep, 5 people, not Izayaki, but Izayaki didn't have a Transcendence. It would have been great if he'd had one, perhaps enough to save them, but no.
And you'd rather walk into your death there if you're the Valiant than let the cart start to move around the corner and get to that box of victory. You do see Sinatra go back to the spawn. He's going to switch off, yeah.
How scary is that amplification matrix on this long stretch?
Especially when you're trying to engage yourself and you have the Graviton Surge, it's going to be very dangerous.
So the Valiant needs to be careful not to
with a big fire strike or something.
Yeah, remember, if they push into the matrix and they realize they're in the wrong spot, Custer, they knock him out of speed him out as fast as he used to be able to. So the Valiant, the Shock want the Valiant to commit. Here we go, Amplification Matrix thrown out now, and that shield's not going to last very long at all. Graviton had to be thrown out. Super Laser Shatter, then the shield. Rascal's Immortality Field is taken down, but the damage too severe. The Shock were inside a grab, yes, but they're able to get damage done still with their primary, secondary fire, and that was enough. Violet finds Izayaki, and that shuts the book on Blizzard World. It shuts the book on the series ultimately. It's 3-0. And the Valiant now have a chance to get one map to save Fakes, but that's all they'll have. It was a pretty dominant showing for the San Francisco Shock, and they're unlikely to take their foot off the gas. And that California Cup will stay with the San Francisco Shock. Map 4 is right around the corner.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Shock brought the heavy artillery today, and it has shown.
So high.
That was dumb lit, as you would say.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've looked so good in this series. 3-0 now. One map away from being done and dusted, and a clean sweep is absolutely on the cards. And there's only one card in the deck, and that card is the clean sweep.
It has been a dominant performance from the Shock. I think the Valiant today, it looks like they're trying some things out. They potentially had some stuff that worked in scrimmages leading up to the stage. Has not worked today here against the Shock.
They are taking necessary steps, and losses like this, well, they are necessary, especially if you're a team that's trying to rebuild. Forged in the fires of adversity and all that. It sounds nice. It doesn't feel nice. It's been tough for them, no doubt about it. Again, Gibraltar represents an opportunity for them to rally. And I think KSF's only match in Season 1 was on Gibraltar, if I'm not mistaken. That's when they got subbed in against the Dagrons, Shanghai, of course. But hey, pressure's off, right?
All right, so see the Valiant on the attack. As you see, that'll be point A once we start to get the payload moving. Point B.
Hey, he's even got B on it.
Yep.
Poggers.
And then to complete the map all the way the distance, you have to go to, what was this before you were saying, a rocket ship?
Yeah, it's just,
that's what you were talking about, right?
It doesn't...
Space.
Yeah. I mean, I assume... Look, the fact that Omnics don't need to recharge implies that fusion power is probably perfected in this timeline, so I have to accept that.
They probably battery powered, right?
It's not made to really fly that way, but that's fine. Anyway, the Shock. Okay, so they don't take the Batiste here. They do take the Brick. Maybe they were expecting some more flank action from the Valiant, but both teams actually playing, well, we would have called this standard last night.
Well, they decided to play with Reinhardt on defense here due to the Shock. So, usually when you have the Reinhardt defense, maybe some damage dealers come out from the other side.
It's pretty well behaved, isn't it? Reinhardt on defense, they're not being very aggressive at all.
I think they feel really confident to weather the storm, whether the Valiant run the damage dealers. And I think that the Valiant have gotten off of the payload and not taken this fight in a position.
Oh, fight got stunned. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, now you're in a tough spot because now you're diving into an area in this close tunnel that is advantageous to the Reinhardt playing team.
I mean, here's the thing, the Shock playing together, but Fate is looking for people that are separated, or he's going to try and separate them. And as soon as he does that, Rascal shield bashes him, and yeah, why not spawn camp them?
They're sitting outside.
This is... Man, these guys do not let up, do they?
Nah. I don't think the Valiant may come out of this low door. Be very surprised by all of the San Francisco Shock down there. And this is, I mean, against the Valiant, right? I mean, you're going to hear the Transcendence used by Izayaki just trying to keep everybody up. That's a big Graviton surge there.
They tried the Transcendence to get out. And I watch currently the faces of the Valiant as they adjust themselves in their seats and realize that their opponents intend to make a mockery of them.
Oh, I mean, the Shock guys are just kind of, they're laughing at it. I mean, they think this is, I mean, look, when I was a player and I was like working with teams, I would encourage what we're seeing from the Shock. Like, if somebody's not bringing it, like, you bring it to them and you let them know about it, right? And I like what we see of the Shock, because there's a lot of the teams that are watching this right now like, oh man, we don't want to play against the Shock. If we start getting beat, we're going to get spawn camp.
I know some of you out there, your only wishes for these games are that both teams have fun. Sometimes though, one team has a little bit more fun than the other, and that's what the Shock are here to do now. The Shatter from Super, very aggressive. Fate's shield is destroyed right now, so this is where the Shock get aggressive, but they walk straight into Graviton Surge. Transcendence is out. They set up the combo. Fate goes charging in, but a sub-arrow is there for the San Francisco Shock. They can hang around in this fight for a little longer. Super getting knocked forward. That might have been from KSS, right? Kira is in quite a lot of danger, and he is down. The Shock have bought 2.5 minutes of time, though, playing so far forward.
Yeah, the Valiant will go get the fight when get out of the spawn. So you do start to make some progress here. It was the Graviton Surge that came out from KSF. They're able to pick up 2 kills off of the back of that. Just coming in, they make it costly though, right? I mean, coming into the next fight, you will have the Graviton Surge here for Sinatra coming online. With the way Violet builds these Transcendences, you imagine we see one of those as well.
50% for Violet, so it's a lot of ways to go here. The Shock would like to slow this down a little bit. Fate switching to Reinhardt, though, means he can challenge Super now. He can just walk straight up and try and fight him. Oh, nice. Fate were knocked down. It looked like he was about to pin Super there and get the kill, but Super still goes on this wild charge and gets taken down. Teams have traded out their Reinhardt, though, and Rascal is deep within enemy territory here. Violet then goes for the Transcendence, just to buffer them now. Rascal also with that rally in play. The Valiant are still looking for more, but they lack their Reinhardt. So Sinatra, a lot of damage available there, and Rascal was the only one caught inside the Graviton space, was trying to follow up, but that grab did not find much. It had to be more from the Valiant. They needed to find more than just one player who didn't even get killed, and this is bad for the Valiant. This is very not good.
It was just a great way to play around them, knowing that they had the Graviton Surge. The shock spread out. Rascal's the only one that gets caught inside of it.
Fate charges in now. It's his last chance, and the last chance for the entirety of the Valiant in this map to make an attacking difference, but Fate is already down. Custer knocked with the Earthshatter and removed. And the Valiant are shattered. And I guarantee you, they will not be happy as they get on that bus at the end of the day, but they still have one more half to play. And my heart aches for my countrymen here, I won't lie. But it seems the Valiant have a ways to go before they are where they need to be.
It's a really tough first half, I mean, for the Valiant. I mean, you had that initial first fight, then you kind of got locked in the spawn for a minute or so, and then you really have one last chance at the end. And it's almost like you didn't really even get a chance to play. The Shock were so aggressive taking it to you.
And from the very outset, you can see the Shock was serious. When they're 3 maps up, they still pick that Reinhardt on defense. They play very conservatively close together until they win that first fight. They get that advantage, they push forward, they leverage their ultimate economy lead to keep the Valiant inside the spawn for a while. It's aggressive, it's flashy, it's cavalier, and it also is absolutely back-breaking and spirit-breaking for your opponent.
I mean, that's it's got to be really difficult to play against, especially when you're down 3-0 in the series already. Hasn't gone well. You've had a lot of blunders and scenarios. The moving off the point on Anubis. The Graviton Surge getting eaten in Blizzard World. It's been a tough series. We'll see how the Shock roll out here on offense. The Super Ash, that's a pick I think a lot of people want to see. They won't see them. If you watch the stream, you've seen the Super McCree. You definitely don't want to see the Super Ash. You see the Trailman go there with the hook, trying to make it happen, doesn't get anything.
All right. Space already quite low, and I don't know if the defense pack, no, the repair pack wasn't used on Space, so he's still quite low, in fact. He has to sort of get involved in this fight anyway. Rascal's immortality field has been taken down. The Shock just playing nice and close together. Really go for a bit of a shield wall formation, if you will. The KSF has charged up. Oh, just a little bit too far. Just a little too far. And then Agility drops down as well. The Valiant know at this point they may as well take the fast track back to spawn and try and find a kill. But look, it's not the finer points. It really appears to be the fundamentals that are holding Valiant back here.
I mean, this next fight's going to be extremely difficult for the Valiant to win. I mean, you have the amplification matrix here from Rascal. You're going to have the Transcendence, most likely Sinatra get a grab.
Yeah, time for the amplification matrix. Rascal pretty much using it for himself here, sitting back behind it. Extra healing would also be nice, and he's keeping super topped up. Rascal is a very good dive target here as Batiste, but he's standing inside that immortality field, and Fate try as he might, and he did. Make no mistake, he was not able to find the kill. He eventually goes down, Violet picks him up. So the Shock have a main tank, and Super really wants to try and make his presence felt here, but Agility's went in for the shield bash. Super's shield is now broken. The Shock may have to retreat, at least into the server room, and wait for their chance to end it.
So you have to back out here as well. You're waiting for Sinatra. Rascal already has another amplification matrix, and it's going to go down here.
Iziaki's missing. This is nasty. See the shield barely staying alive now. It's going to be the Graviton Surge. By the Shock, they got a lot of use out of that amp matrix, and now they push further. Sound barrier here. Violet using the Transcendence once more. And he's going to be on the point there with Super. Agility's getting a little bit too low to the swinging hammer of Super. And now Space and KSF are also in danger. They push too close. Immortality is what the Shock are looking for. And they'd like to inscribe their name into the Stage 2 title book. And that's how you start. The San Francisco Shock make it look very clean. But some of the stuff they did in game was nothing short of dirty. It was nasty.
Yeah, I mean, they go in with a spawn camp there at the end of Gibraltar, but just a fantastic series, start to finish for the Shock. They'll hold on to the California Cup. I think Rascal playing Batista, I think it was a huge impact. I think that's really the first great use of him that we've seen in the series.
And just a small adjustment, right? You're switching out the Brigitte, you're bringing the Batista in, but the healing, you pointed it out. Rascal was doing more healing than even the hardest hitter on his team was doing in terms of damage, and that is an extremely good metric. San Francisco, a team that likes to play aggressively. Someone like Rascal and Batista is able to facilitate that, keep them safe as they go right at their opponents and try and shake them off balance. So that is quite impressive. It's a hero that suits their style very well. But now let's hear a little bit more from the team themselves. We'll head down to the floor with Mika.
Thanks, guys. I got Moth down here. Everybody give it up for Moth. That's right. A clean sweep must feel good, so congratulations. And I know that you guys maybe didn't take the stage final last stage, but that clearly didn't break your spirit, and you guys made an amazing showing today. Would you say that that near loss, like, put a fire under you and you're fighting back even harder?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that playoffs was the first best of sevens I'd ever played on stage, so it was a great learning experience for us. Yeah, I think moving forward, we'll be able to clutch out those rounds next time.
Absolutely, and moving forward, we're going to be seeing probably a lot more comps with more DPS heroes, and that's been pretty fun for everybody to be watching. Do you like this new meta, or are you, missing the goats?
I mean, right now it's not too much different for us, but I think we can adapt really quickly to anything that happens. We'll see where it goes in the next couple of weeks, and I think we'll be able to do well.
Absolutely, and you obviously already started to do well, so congratulations. Everybody, give it up for Moth, and especially that giant moth head back there. This is great. I love our fans, you guys. All right, back to you guys.
Is there anything funnier than holding a cardboard cutout of someone's face next to that actual person? It's pretty great, right?
It's probably some
Love it. That's pretty funny. Let's have a look at our player of the match. Starting to wrap things up here, brought to you by Omen by HP. And we've already talked about it. This is a guy that deserves his honors big time. Rascal from the San Francisco Shock. And again, the Batiste play was interesting. We just heard Moth say they haven't changed much, but this small change seems to have made a big difference.
I mean, he was great using all of the new abilities. Obviously, Batista's a new hero, everything in his toolkit. You see the immortality fields here, and this is where the big amplification matrix goes down. It's a lot of damage going through there. Big difference maker. I think, 2 deaths prevented. I think that, you kind of look damage prevented, about, 500 there. The damage amplified, 1,800 in terms of damage. That's pretty big.
Now, over the course of one match, that may not be that exciting. The fact is that happens obviously in those short moments, during the Matrix itself. It happens in these moments that turn the fight. It's not like a Discord, amplifying stat which runs over the course of a series. So that damage is generally more impactful. It's to win fights there and then, and not just to make things stronger over the course of a series. So congratulations, of course, to Rascal, and the Shock are looking very good. You know what's coming up next, though?
What?
That I'm kind of getting excited for. The Revenant Fisher returns. Again, you can take revenge as many times as you like. I think there's no statute of limitation on that one. Takes on the Los Angeles Gladiators, man, who already look really good.
Yeah, always a spicy matchup. I know the Gladiators did look very good in their match the other day. I do think, though, that look for Seoul Dynasty. I mean, they get that big win against NYXL in the playoffs, and then I think you can play some Sombra. I think it's going to be a very good one.
Keep your eyes peeled for that one. We'll be back on the other side of these messages with our final match of the day. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in a moment.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. High ground or low ground, T-Mobile has you covered.